This is a deep dive into the sleeping simulator lore. If you're seeing this, you've by chance stumbled across the lore or accidentally found it. This will explain everything that's going on and leave some teasers for future lore. We'll start off with lore part 1, where you can find the glitch forest and notes scattered around saying he is crazy and they're being tortured or they're in a freezer. An explanation behind these notes is it's talking about what's happening to the victims. If you search in the forest, you can also find the names of both victims. The person that is crazy you eventually find if you find a secret passageway into the white tree and stumble across Old Man Larry. Old Man Larry is the crazy man. He's trying to disguise himself as good, as that's why he always tries and changes the subject when you keep talking about people in a freezer and they were tortured and kidnapped. If you find a way to drown, you will eventually find the freezing machine 2000 with the victims in it, and Larry standing in front of it, possibly laughing. This shows that Larry isn't a good person after all, and that he's actually a mad scientist. An explanation is that in his past he found the two girls and led them towards their fate in the freezing machine 2000 by force. The reason why he did it by force is because the girls kept kicking and restraining after he told them what was happening. Larry and his two, quote, friends were very close together, and even Larry grew close to them, even though he planned to freeze them eventually. Going into lore part 2, it explains why Larry did this, and that he was actually a very popular scientist who eventually failed because his inventions kept getting copied and people thought he was copying them. Larry eventually burned down his house and stumbled across the forest, where he found refuge and possibly two victims he can use to take his anger out on. He posed as a friend towards the two girls, but eventually one day after he had finished the freezing machine, he started telling them what he was actually planning, and then the girls started trying to run. Eventually Larry caught up with him, captured them, and put them into the machine by force. However, what Larry hasn't realized yet is that the glitch forest is actually taking bits of his soul and making it a part of the forest. When Larry realized this, only a small fraction of him was alive. They say if you go into the glitch forest now, you can find small remnants of Larry making a weird gurgling noise. If you have found lore part 2, you will notice that there's an NPC called Dummy. Dummy is from one of my previous games called What's the Code. What's the Code followed you trying to find the code and progress through the game. Dummy was the lore character of that game, and I'd thought it'd be a nice reference to reference him inside of Sleeping Simulator lore. When you access lore part 2, you actually go into What's the Code. Now, the unfinished Halloween update is a true story. There was going to be a Halloween update, but I didn't finish it. The game hasn't been updated for 2 years as of April 2024. Dummy's story for What's the Code followed him being tortured and hurt alive, and him suffering a fate worse than death. When you enter lore part 2, Dummy notices you and starts showing off Larry's story after you ask him, do you know anything about Larry? He eventually shows off Larry's story and shows the crazy maniac he turned out to be. Now, what you may have noticed is that the dates kept going back inside of the glitch forest. What if time doesn't work properly in the glitch forest and doesn't go forward, but backwards? If you accidentally stumbled across the solitary confinement room, you would have found Larry sitting there crying in the corner. What if Larry was dreaming it all up? Or what if he managed to escape the forest perfectly untouched, told the police what he did, and got thrown in there by the police? All shall be revealed in the color update, which will add a little more color to the game. It might reveal that maybe there's a bigger entity controlling the forest. Or maybe why Miner Man 649 sleeps in flower beds. It may conclude the lore, or make more cliffhangers. It might explain why Larry's in solitary confinement. It might not. It might finish the game once and for all. Or it will just add a little more colour to the game. I will let you, the viewer, find that out. I apologise that it wasn't that deep of a dive for the Sleeping Simulator lore, but you can't really explain lore that hasn't been finished yet. The colour update is coming soon. Be prepared for more colour. And I would like to thank the people who have worked on Sleeping Simulator for making the game come this far. And you, the viewer, for making me have confidence for the game.